Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Patrick Liu, and I'm going to be your host for the Diabetes Survival Guide show. I'm the founder of the Diabetes Management Group, where I am a fitness and wellness coach for people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. And this show will be a way to share the phenomenal stories about people with all forms of diabetes, healthcare professionals who work with people with diabetes, health and wellness coaches who work with people in this population, and or caregivers and relatives with people with diabetes across the world. A little bit of a personal background for me as a show starter is I was diagnosed with prediabetes back in 2021 and made some modifications to my lifestyle and habits to successfully reverse it in 2022. However, that onset of me receiving prediabetes in 2021 triggered my memories of when my grandpa, who passed away when I was a sophomore in high school from kidney failure secondary to his type 2 diabetes, about the care that was misunderstood and not the greatest at that time. So I want to provide this show as a way to explore the different spectrums of diabetes and healthcare professionals sharing their tips of what they've seen helpful in working with folks with them, and then some things that weren't as helpful, so that y'all can learn something. So thank you so much, and we'll get started with the disclaimers and the show.
Disclaimers. This show is not medical advice or a treatment plan and may contain sensitive and explicit content. It is intended for general education and demonstration purposes only. This content should not be used to self-diagnose or self-treat any health, medical, or physical conditions. Don't use this show to avoid going to your own healthcare professional or to replace the advice they give you. Consult with your healthcare provider before attempting anything you learned in this show. You agreed to identify and hold harmless the creators of this material for any and all losses, injury, or damages resulting from any and all claims that arise from your use or misuse of this show material. The creators and guests of this show make no representations about the accuracy or suitability of this content. Use these materials at your sole risk. Views and opinions are individual to the creators and guests of this show and do not represent any other opinions or entities and are not intended to offend anybody. We hope you enjoy the show. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Diabetes Survival Guide show. I'm your host, Patrick Liu, and I had prediabetes back in 2021 and was able to successfully reverse it in 2022. Today, I am joined by the amazing Kim Kyle. She is a huge mentor and role model for me. She is a registered dietitian with a Certified Diabetes Educator special certification. She works closely with people with type 2 diabetes who are 40 years old and older, and her passion is very similar to mine, where her dad had type 2 diabetes, and she was able to witness the progression of the hardships that he's faced, and she wanted to utilize her learning lessons to serve other people in that community in order to reverse their diabetes and know that they are cared for. Similar to how my grandfather passed away from type 2 diabetes when I was a sophomore in high school, and when I was diagnosed with prediabetes back in 2021, it just gave me a lot of flashbacks of those moments and the lack of education and resources that we've had and understanding of how we were at the time. It is a huge honor for me to have Kim on the show. So, Kim, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about yourself, things I haven't already covered, and just a little bit more of what you do and how you decided to start working with the people in the diabetes community.
Thank you, Patrick. And listen, I think the world of you, just getting to know you over these past several weeks and being accountability partners in the program that we're in. And we both have this vision of helping as many people as we can to avoid complications from type 2 diabetes or really any type of diabetes. That's just our mission. And on a platform like this, your podcast and your diabetes management group and your YouTube and all your videos on Instagram and TikTok, I think you're just going to make this the best thing ever for a lot of people who find you like I have. I love all the videos and they're spot on. And yeah, we're both going to go out there and just make sure that people with type 2 diabetes never feel like this is the end, because it never has to be the end. But my background is I was never going to go to college. I barely passed high school. I hated school. That was the
Yeah.
last thing I wanted to do. I lived in a resort community. I lived in Virginia Beach, Virginia. There's hotels everywhere. So, of course, that was the place to work, either a hotel or a restaurant. I was very clumsy. Restaurant was a no. So, I went to work for a hotel and loved it. Loved being a reservationist when you greet the guests. And then I graduated and I was like you may not know this reference, but my people, my age group knows this reference, but I was Julie of the Love Boat. Do you ever watch the show The Love Boat? It's a very old show.
I have not heard of that show,
Oh my
but
gosh, you've got to watch The Love Boat. Anyway, Julie was like the person that went around and made sure everybody was having a great time. And so I did that at the hotel that I worked at, one of the resort hotels in Virginia Beach, would welcome groups to come in and tell them all the things. Like the wives would go off and do other things, and the guys were there attending the meeting, or vice versa. So I would tell them, and I loved it. So I was thinking, maybe I'll go to Tahiti or the Caribbean or somewhere to do hotel management. And that's what I was gearing up to do. And then my dad was with a company out of Germany. So he traveled a lot back and forth to Germany. We saw him a lot, but he was a very busy guy. And on one of the trips, when he came back from Germany, he went to the doctor like literally the next day. And the next day after that, he was in the hospital getting prepped for quintuple bypass surgery. We didn't know it was
mm,
quintuple at the time. But what we learned later is that my dad had been suffering from shortness of breath, pain in his chest on the left side
oof.
for a long time. And he remarked that a couple weeks before he went to Germany, we had a bunch of land in Virginia Beach, and he was with a company that made things that you could clear land with. So he was back there in our property by himself, alone in the very back of our property, weed eating and getting rid of some weeds and some tall grass. And he said he had to lay down for 45 minutes just to catch his breath.
Oh,
And in Germany, it's all uphill. They would go and tour the cities and on these tours, and he just couldn't keep up. He was like shortness of breath, and he had to sit down. And then coming back in the airport just to get back home, and how he had to just sit down and rest. And never occurred to him that this could be his heart. But his father, my grandfather, died of a massive heart attack. He was gone before he hit the floor. And so this is in my father's history. So that was just really traumatic. He survived the quintuple bypass surgery. He survived the diagnosis with type 2 diabetes, but I'm like, holy crap, you could have died. That cannot happen.
yeah.
Dad was like everything. So I'm like, you got to stick around, buddy. So through his recovery and learning about nutrition, I thought, like this nutrition stuff, maybe I'll take a stab at it. Maybe I'll go back to school. And I did. I did in 1990. I went to community college, and then I transferred to a few different colleges, but I did end up getting my bachelor's in dietetics and then went on to do an internship. Like it's just a long process to become a dietitian, honestly. But my mission was to help my dad to live a long life. And thank goodness, whether or not I became a dietitian, I don't know. He might have done pretty well, but I was definitely pushing him. He was stubborn. He was not an easy patient. I mean, he was a tough guy. He wanted to eat what he wanted to eat. He wanted to drink what he wanted to drink. He loved to drink wine, or he traveled overseas a lot. So he liked sake and different types of alcohol. But I would be in there monitoring his food. And my mom did such a great job of making his meals for him, just so balanced, exactly like a picture I would show a patient of a perfect plate. My mom was doing that for my dad. So he really had a lot of helpers to keep him healthy for the next 31 years. So he was around 50 when he was diagnosed and had heart disease and had the heart surgery. And then he was a day before he turned 82, he passed away. And I don't think it was from diabetes. It was something very strange. I can't even think about it right now, but it was just bizarre how my dad's last days were unspent in a hospital. They didn't know what was wrong with him, and then he died. And it was very sad, but it was also, I was okay with that because he did have a good life. He knew his kids, he knew his grandkids, he
Aw,
spent a lot of time with them, and we got to know our dad better. So it was a blessing. And you said this in another podcast, sometimes bad things happen, but there's good that comes out of it.
that is super beautiful. I got chills hearing about it, especially with the stories of going into hospitality and hotel management, going to the Caribbean and then the experiences in Germany with your dad. And once he had his heart conditions that were going on, and that inspired you to look into the nutritional route, going into college and getting your degrees in dietitian and dietetics, and being able to, I would say, just supporting his journey and working, collaborating with your mom as he went about it. That's just really amazing. And I feel like that's very empowering for other people to hear it. And I always know that your family members are going to be the most stubborn patients, as well as ourselves.
It really is. And you've probably already noticed this, just even with the people that you're already practicing with, that I'll have a husband and wife come in, and the wife is, oh, no, that is not the story. Let me tell you what's really going on. So there's always that hidden story with the family members. I had just recently, I had a deaf patient in my office, and it was great. We had
Really?
the translator in there, and his daughter, who's not hearing impaired, was there. And she's, Dad, you're telling a story. Tell the truth. Let's, tell everybody what's going on. So the more honest you are, for sure, the better we can help you as diabetes educators and specialists and professionals. But it's hard. It's hard because I think my clients or my patients feel that they're doing something wrong. If they're not perfect, they're doing something wrong, and they don't want to expose that part of them, that vulnerable side. And my dad was the same way. It's so funny because the last 10 years or 15 years, we've lived within 5 minutes of each other. So I
Hmm.
could be over at his house in a second, and there's no knocking. You just walk in the house. Hey, Dad, what's going on? And it's so funny because it would usually be in the evening when I come by, and he's a snacker. I mean, he loves anything crunchy, salty. And I would hear this. He's hiding the chips behind his back. He's, oh, hello, honey. I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know it's fine, Dad. Don't worry. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. And so I think that's what a lot of my patients feel, that they have to be perfect. And that's not true. You can get through and survive with
Hmm.
diabetes imperfect, but just having some core strategies down that will help you control your blood sugars one meal at a time. You just don't look beyond that. You just take it one meal or one snack at a time. And that's how you get through and have 30 extra years with your family, like my dad did.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that strategy of taking one meal, one snack at a time. And it's okay that we are not perfect. And it just really goes to show that everybody's human, and we have those days where eating a bag of chips or gouging down on maybe just having a sliver of a cake or a slice of cake, that's like very helpful for our emotional health, but also understanding that how can we balance that with other things to make sure that we are not putting ourselves in a negative perfectionist mindset per se. So yeah, that's really beautiful. And I guess with that, I'd like to hear what has been your best success story with the clients that you're currently working with, if you have a particular one in mind and wouldn't mind sharing it.
I have a lot, many. Over 17 years, I've been in the same practice. But most recently, and this is through the COVID, one of my dear patients, and I get close. I mean, I see these people I've been seeing some people for 10, 15 years now. They come see me every year for a refresher, or if something happens and they're sick or something gets worse. I see them very frequently. So I get to know them and their family and them personally. And my dear patient got COVID in the worst way.
Ooh.
Very touch and go. I mean, she was admitted, and I think she was intubated. I wasn't sure about that, but she got off of that, which was a miracle. And she was able to recover, but she didn't recover fully. Like, she has what they call long hauler syndrome, where just the effects of COVID that we really don't understand just hang in with you. So she was carrying oxygen with her everywhere she went. She couldn't breathe really on her own, especially when she slept, and her blood sugars are going up because they're having to give her steroids to help her breathe. It was just one big mess. And
Hmm.
then just this past year, she was like, that's it. I'm taking control. I got to get my blood sugars back under control. And she's needing a little bit of insulin right now. And her weight's gone up because she hasn't been able to exercise. So all of these things, I'm like, that's okay. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's just bare bones. Let's just take one meal at a time. And that's what we did. And this past year, her most recent A1C, I think it was in February, March, it was like down 4 points. You know,
Really?
8 or 9 down to not that much of a difference. So maybe she was at 8 or 9, and now she's down into the sevens. We like patients in the sevens or the sixes because we know that through research and just what we know about our patients, you're very less likely to have any complications when you can get your A1C into the seven and then down into the sixes and then maybe out of the sixes and into the fives. I mean, that's where we know you're really safe. You're nothing bad's going to happen. I tell them your toes aren't going to fall off with an A1C of a 7.2. You're good. So we just got to get her back to that area, to that level of her control. And I actually went to see her. She invited me to a party that she was having to celebrate her birthday. And I went. And that lady joined a double Dutch jump roping group. And they have the double
What?
Dutch she's jumping rope. She had COVID, she almost died. I'm like, "You are just one incredible lady." But I get very attached to my patients, like, they are family, and that's really how I treat people. This is the reason I'm here. I kept my dad alive, I'm gonna keep you alive, it's gonna be fine, we're gonna get through this together, and it's really that emotional, and I know that it was emotional for you, your history of your grandpa and then you having prediabetes, it really touches you. And when people just pass you off, just do A, B, and C, and you'll be fine. It's not that easy. You really have to get to know somebody, and they have to trust you that information that you're giving them. And it can definitely be controlled. If there's one condition that you can control, you personally have power. It is diabetes.
So beautiful. And I would say too, going from the effects of having COVID and then having diabetes and having that progress with working with you to get to the point where she can join a double Dutch jump rope competition. That's amazing. And also the physical therapist part of me is screaming, yes, that's amazing. Like the more you can do jump roping or jumping, that also improves not only your like physical health and management of diabetes, but it also reduces the risk of osteoporosis because the more you're able to jump and do that does strengthen your bones and increases your strength and it has a lot of great effects in the future. And just making sure that we hone things down to keep it simple, one day at a time, work together with groups. And if you ever have any
Yeah.
questions, of course, like that's why we're here to work with each other. So very beautiful.
Absolutely, and she's off all the oxygen, it's just she's a whole new person, and it really is a miracle, but she's the one that resonates with me most recently, but there's so many, Patrick. Oh my gosh, these patients that I see, one of the friends you did another podcast with, A1C in the 12s, the
Yeah.
highest A1C I've seen, I think, was a 17. This was like a newly diagnosed either type 2 or type 1 patient. You can have A1Cs that high, but just to get them down to where they're feeling like a whole normal person is just fascinating, and
Yeah.
it can happen quickly or it can happen slowly, but either way, it does happen and you do figure it out. You do figure it out.
Yeah.
With our help, you can definitely figure out. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but that's why they have to find somebody who's specialized in it or has the certification or knows a lot or is a healthcare person that, is interested in diabetes like you are. And you're going to have your certification, you're going to do all of that. And that's really exciting. It's a great career. It's just I have not had one bad day at work. I love taking care of people who have diabetes. That's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing so much about that. And I'll get there soon enough. Just give me another year when I graduate in 2024 and then counting up all the hours that I have in order to take the Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist certification. We'll get there one day at a time.
That'll be easy for you.
Yeah. And I also want to pivot too, because I know since you have a vast amount of experience of working with a variety of people coming in from all different backgrounds, especially someone who is of the deaf community. I would also like to ask a question too of what would you say is the most painful lesson that you've learned during your journey throughout your time of working with people with diabetes, and what is the biggest limiting lesson that you've had from it?
Yeah, this one hurt. This was also in the past couple years. I had been working with this young lady, probably have known her for about 8 years. I started working with her. She was in her late 20s and she already had signs of kidney disease.
Oh, goodness.
She was already in stage 2, I think, when I first met her. Her blood sugars were just out of control. And she saw her father go through something very similar. And I just tried to dig in and say, listen, I've got to tell me, what do I need to do to help you to control the blood sugars? It was just her choice to just not really focus on it. She had a lot going on. She's a busy lady. She's very business minded and has a very demanding job, and all of her energy and all of her effort went into that job. So she didn't really care for her diabetes for many years. And the last time I saw her, which was a couple years ago, she was in end stage renal failure at
Mm.
36 years old.
36? Oh my goodness.
36. She's now on
Oh,
dialysis and waiting for a kidney transplant.
oof.
So the moral of the story is you have control over type 2 diabetes. It's your control, it's your diabetes, it's your body. But if you ignore it and just pretend it's not there, you can really complicate things and come out with these permanent disabilities or these permanent complications. She can't make her kidneys better. She needs a new kidney. There's nothing else for her but that. And the saddest part was, and I didn't know what more I could do, but the saddest part was she's, "I haven't even had children yet." And she's still young enough she could have children. She's like, "I haven't even had kids yet. I haven't even been married." She put all of her energy into her job, and here she is. So the moral of the story is your job is not your life. Your body is your life.
Mm.
Your friends, your family, having those experiences, that's your life. Don't put it to a company or a job, because that's not going to be with you in the end. Your family
Yeah,
and your friends and your vitality will be with you in the end.
awesome. Yeah, I'd say that's very huge insight as well, that we do have the choice, and the more you're able to take that choice to invest in yourself and realizing it's like similar to driving down the road and your check engine lights start going up and you're like, okay, I could take this to the mechanic to figure it out, or I could ignore the signs. And then, of course, the more you ignore the signs, eventually your car just stops in the middle of the road and you have to veer off. And you're like, how did I get here? When you're asked, no, the signs were there. And it's just a matter of taking that time to have that car check, that reality check to say, hey, there is some stuff that's going on and I should get this checked out immediately so that it doesn't get worse than it can. So,
The maintenance, you're right. The oil
mhm,
changes, the maintenance. I love that analogy. That's perfect. And that is exactly right. I've been the one who didn't listen to my check engine light. I've been the one, this was when I was much younger. I threw my engine rod, whatever that means. My engine blew up. I mean, I didn't have an oil change for years.
yeah,
So you're right. But the car can be replaced. Your body really can't be replaced. This is all you get. One body, one life, one body. So you got to
yeah,
treat it the best way that you can.
yeah. And speaking of which, taking care of my body, due to my overactive bladder, I do need to take a quick break for a
Yeah,
second to use the bathroom and everything. Well,
go
so
pause.
y'all listen to this intermission and we will be right back in a quick second.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. And before we continue with the rest of this show, I wanted to let y'all know, please feel free to give this podcast a 5-star rating if you like it, share it with other folks that you think it'd be beneficial for. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and follow to the Diabetes Management Group for awesome tips to manage your type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. And let's get back to the show.
Yeah, thanks again for sharing the lessons that you've learned with that. And of course, make sure you get your oil change, make sure you get your health checkup for your body, because that is super important. If you're not able to do that, you'll pay dividends in the future. And coming from like myself, my grandpa, he ended up being on dialysis as well. If you also haven't listened to the first episode to hear a little bit about my story, yeah, just the feelings that you would have after dialysis is immense fatigue. Like you're put on the machine, they put a bunch of needles in you to filter out a good amount of the blood from your body. If not, you think it's your entire blood supply in your body that they're cycling out to clean it up, because that's what they have to do, since your kidneys are the ones that filter and clean out your blood. And then they would insert the newer, cleaner blood into you. but the dialysis machines is not as efficient compared to our kidneys. So they could only
Right.
do so much that the stuff that they're returning, it's not completely filtered in clean blood because it's not as effective and as potent compared to what our kidneys are able to do. So it's a process that I don't recommend for anybody. And also considering the case studies that I've read and hearing from my cohort members' clinical experiences of working with people who have dialysis with physical therapy, like the fatigue that they have is just so immense that even moving around, sometimes the aches and pains that they would have would be more severe. It would last significantly longer, and it's just not a great time. And of course, the recovery process, because our body needs the blood supply to receive nutrients, oxygen, all that delivery of nutrients and
Right.
filtering out like those wastes too. Without having that, it just gets really immense and tough. And it's not something that I would recommend for everybody. And I feel taking the time to really take care of yourself and being conscientious of that. So the worst and adverse events don't occur. That's something that I think is significantly better for folks. Yeah.
Yeah. Get the oil check. That's the
hmm
moral of the story.
Get your oil
Or
checked. Make
change.
sure you get your fluids injected in there if you need it, and go on through there.
That's right.
All right. So pivoting from that conversation, I usually ask people this fun question. So, what is your zombie apocalypse survival plan?
I had to go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT. They really couldn't help me. So, what I think I would do in a zombie apocalypse is I would find the fastest way to get to Costa Rica and just live off the land because when you're in Costa Rica, it's just plants and trees and bananas and fruit and I mean it's just everywhere. It's just such a lovely place. Or I'd find a tropical somewhere and I would just hide myself in the jungle with my family, of course, and we'll just eat fruit for the rest of our lives and hopefully avoid the zombie apocalypse. I don't know what else. I mean, I'm headed somewhere that I'm gonna love. I'm gonna love watching that last sunset before the zombies get me. So I got to go to somewhere with a beautiful view, with natural food.
Jeez. I would say in some of those moments, it's trying to figure out, okay, where's a farm or agricultural book that I can find so that I can not only just eat on fruits, but also grow my own vegetables that I can to make sure that we survive and stay sufficient in that way too, which would be pretty important.
Absolutely, or I'll just get friends with any of the farmers that live near me that are already canning, and I'll just really befriend them and know where their supplies are stashed, so I can go in there and join forces with them. But yeah, I would love to be able to garden and farm. That would be that's my retirement plan.
All right. I know who to bring on as a guest for one of my future podcast episodes because sharing as a slight teaser and everything. I actually did a service trip out in Guatemala, and we worked with this volunteer organization called Cultiva, where they educate the community on how to maintain, grow, and use the vegetables that they would have from their garden box. And this garden box would be different grids of seasonal, like parsley, it could be some broccoli, carrots, and tomatoes, a variety more in this grid that they have. And through that workshop, they would actually learn about the different ways to fertilize it and using some natural pesticides because having the different seeds of like tomatoes and like the parsley and things that are separate in categories, it actually confuses the pests from trying to eat your vegetables or whatever fruits that you're trying to grow along that area. And then, of course, if you add some fertilizers, that could actually deter some of the insects away. I think I could be wrong on this since I'm not this is not my wheelhouse and everything, but you could use some ashes as a way to be used as fertilizer, but also being used to try and reduce the pests from eating your crops, which is pretty interesting. Now,
Yeah, it's
again,
cool.
I'm not an agriculturist. Like, if somebody fact check me, put that down in the comments below if I'm making this stuff up, but and please cite the reference article for that. That I'd love to try and see a little bit more on that. But I feel like that's a huge proponent of being able to educate people how to grow and maintain a farm And it's not a huge like garden box grid, and they're still able to grow a lot of vegetables from their harvest, able to cook from learning from this organization and provide for their family, as well as getting the nutrients that they would need for their bodies to sustain that. So I think it's just beautiful of like the process that with that and what I've learned from it. And the main thing that has been helpful in understanding that too is the matter of improving people's self-sustainability to do what they want to do and empowering them to have like that health conscientiousness, because the more you're able to take care of yourself, you're able to think more clearly. The levels of fatigue that you have are significantly reduced. Those brain fogs where you're not able to think of, oh, what was I about to say? Or I had this idea, but it just went away and it's not coming back to me. By being
Right.
able to have a solid foundation in your nutrition and other lifestyle like habits, that could actually improve those symptoms that you have and reduce those, so you're able to think more clearly, you're able to feel amazing, and you're able to move a lot better and enjoy amazing food too. Because if you know how to cook, of course, you're going to know how to make things taste delicious.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, we all need to be doing that. Everybody should have a little garden of some kind, even if it's just a tomato plant. We have to start doing that. So that's really cool, Patrick. I didn't know that you had experience that. I would love to learn more of what you learned.
Yeah, of course. I'll put Cultiva's description down in our description box, and you all can definitely check them out. And of course, in addition to that, Kim, thank you so much for joining me today in our show. And how can people find you if they want to connect with you, work with you, and go from there?
Facebook group now. And I
Ooh.
will tell you, I know it's so good. It's so fun. Just look me up on Facebook. It's Dietitian with Kim. And also use, I believe, same Instagram handle. It's I think it's T2 type 2 diabetes dietitian underscore Kim. And I think I revealed this yet, but DDK are my initials. So I'm
Ooh.
trying to do a lot with the DDK, diabetes dietitian Kim, or diabetes dialogue with Kim. I think that's what my podcast will be.
Mhm.
And I will be starting that soon. So right now, just my Facebook group. My email is T2 for type 2 diabetes RD at Gmail. You can email me if you'd like. But yeah, Facebook group is probably the best place to get in touch with me right now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for and thank you, audience, for hopping along and for listening in to another awesome show with a fabulous guest. And I look forward to seeing y'all in our next episode. So we'll see you later.